Today we're talking about the INFJ's 5 secret weapons to a radically authentic life. A lot of people want to live an authentic life, at least that's what they say. But in order to actually live it, to be it, you need to have certain qualities. And guess what? The INFJ has them. And today we're going to talk about exactly those qualities that make the INFJ capable of living an authentic life. And I mean radically authentic, to deciding this is who I am and I'm not going to budge for anybody. Before we get started, I want to remind you, if you haven't done this so far, to download the free poster on the INFJ Epic Life Formula. And if you want to take it to the next step and you say, I'm going to start living my epic life today, then get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide, which guides you step by step through that process. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. Secret weapon number 1. The INFJ has the capacity to face judgment. Because believe it or not, in order to grow, we have to go through all of those pains. We have to actually face judgment. We have to show up more and more authentically ourselves. We have to be able to grow. And in order to do that, we have to say, this is who I am, as much as I can, show it at this moment, and I'm there to be judged. And in order to do that, you need to have certain qualities. I mean, in the end, if you're faced with judgment, you can, overcome it just by facing that pain, sitting with it. At some point, it will go away and you will know, okay, I might be judged for certain things, but as long as I'm okay with myself, like I learned that this is who I am, it's all good. But most people have such a fear of facing that judgment that they're not even willing to go in that direction. The INFJ is different. Yes, we also have the fear of judgment, but it's so much broader than what most people have to deal with. So we're way more able to, stand in front of somebody, do something that is controversial, and face that judgment. It has a lot to do with how our mind works. We're not really picking up those things in such a drastic way as we as INFJ may think. So I want you to be aware of the fact that you can face judgment. It is uncomfortable, but you still can do it. You can do it to such a capacity, you're conscious about it. Other types might really run away from this. But in order to actually get over all of those fears of judgment that in the end you have about yourself, you gotta face those judgments over and over again until you don't care about them anymore. And you as an INFJ definitely have the capacity to do that. Secret weapon number 2, the INFJ has a vision and they hold on to that vision way longer than most people, would be able to. The reason for this is that when an INFJ has a vision, it is super clear to them. There is no doubt about it. They know this is how it's going to happen, this is how it can happen, and the only thing that is standing between today and that vision is what I do about it. Right? And so the INFJ is willing to hold on to that despite a lot of people having opinions about it or not believing it or whatever it may be. Again, I know that you might doubt yourself, but trust me, this doubt is still significantly smaller than it is for most people. You really know that if you have a vision and you would put those steps in front of you, you would get there. And so if an INFJ wants to live a radically authentic life, they're going to go that direction before anybody can see it. And you're going to have people doubting and questioning you, why are you doing this? Or they're just saying, okay, that person is completely oblivious. But you as an INFJ know that it is possible because otherwise you wouldn't have that vision. You know what is necessary to make that happen. So in order to overcome all of those barriers that we put on ourselves or that society puts on ourselves, we have to be willing and able to, go the long run, to hold on to a vision that others might not see, that others might not believe in. But, guess what? It doesn't matter. You as an INFJ, once you know what you want, you know you can hold on to it, and you know that's just a matter of, am I doing the steps or not? And that, my friends, is one of those secret weapons that's going to help you live that radically authentic and fulfilled life. Secret weapon number 3. The INFJ has no tolerance for social hierarchy. So the INFJ knows if a certain person has a lot of people following them, they understand that certain people are popular or that a lot of people are listening to what a person says or, how they influence others, but they know it's just a concept. They sort of look at it from above. INFJs understand that, certain social constructs are happening and they see people really falling into that. But the INFJ is a real observer when it comes to this. They look at it from a third person's perspective. And that in itself will help the INFJ live that radically authentic and fulfilled life. Because if you buy into all of those social hierarchies, you're not going to give yourself the freedom to be yourself, to live an authentic life. Because if you really buy into those social hierarchies, it pretty much means I have to do what that person says, I have to be in the good graces of that person, and I have to act a certain way in order, for things to work out for me. But if you do that, you're by default not choosing your authentic self. Because your authentic self is all about, I'm going to do what I like. I'm not going to hurt anybody, but I'm certainly not going to do things just in order to fall into some system that others have created and that in the end has nothing to do with my authentic self. Secret weapon number 4, the INFJ is an abstract thinker. Because if you want to live a radically authentic and fulfilled life, you have to reinvent yourself over and over. And that does not mean that one day you have to like techno music and the other day you're going to listen to hip hop, or that in one year you're going to live in Asia and in the other year you're going to live in Europe. No, none of that. It's actually about finding yourself in new situations and new circumstances. Because if you live an authentic life, you want to grow. And you want to grow authentically. You want to live in abundance and not in a way of, I do things that other people find interesting or popular or whatever. But okay, that's the next step to my evolution. That's how I know I'm living more fulfilled, more authentically. That's how I grow. Like I'm becoming more and more me. And that means that we take on new challenges again and again. And in order to find yourself in the new situation over and over again, in order to be able to, get into a new circumstance and say, okay, now I'm going to make the best out of this on my terms, you need to be an abstract thinker. Because that's when you can take all of those lessons learned in the previous chapters of your life and apply it to the current one. If you're not an abstract thinker, you're going to be able to use all of that knowledge in that circumstance that you were in, but you won't be able to really use it in a future one. INFJs are not like that. INFJs are abstract thinkers, and that's why they can apply all of their knowledge, everything they've learned about life, to every new circumstance that happens upon them and that allows them to grow to the next level. And secret weapon number 5, the INFJ has a low need for social inclusion and belonging. So hear me out here. Every single person needs to be included. Every single person has a need for belonging. That's just hardwired in our DNA. That's who we are. We might be INFJs, but in the end, we're still human, right? But there are levels to this. And the INFJ really falls on the spectrum of having a low need for belonging and a low need for social inclusion. And that is a huge weapon if you think about it. For the longest time, I was really wondering about myself. There's something wrong with me. Why does everybody, play by all of those rules and I don't? Why don't they step out of it? Why can't we just authentically, live together and, be honest with each other and have like deep conversations? And I don't understand why people, shy away from that or are afraid to be honest like that. This is the reason. Because if people step out of those norms that are created, on a subconscious level, they're afraid to be abandoned. They're afraid of being, outcasts. And the INFJ knows how that feels like, but have you ever asked yourself why, we are being ourselves so often, why we have been outcasts so often, why people think we're weird? We still know how to play that role. We could say if it was so bad for us, if we felt so incredibly lonely and isolated, if we didn't belong in those social, structures, then we would play that role 24/7 of the person that other people want you to be. And we don't. If we would do that, as I said, we would have never felt outcast to begin with because we're so good at playing those roles. But because we have such a low need for this, we dare to be different. We dare to be more ourselves. We dare to say, okay, on some level, I'm okay with being ostracized. On some level, I'm okay with being, excluded and abandoned and all of those psychological fears. And that, my friends, is a huge secret weapon. Because in order to live authentically, you have to, be an innovator. And being an innovator means you're being yourself. You have to be somebody and do things that don't necessarily work with what everybody else is doing, but they work for you. So it's not just doing something in order to be a rebel or in order to say, okay, I'm good with being rejected. Because very often this is just, a cop out in order to actually face our own fears. But to say, if it comes down to it, I'm going to choose my authentic self because I'd rather be disliked for who I am than to be liked for who I'm not. And that is one of the best secret weapons that an INFJ can have. Because if you're willing to go there, if you're willing to live more and more authentically like yourself, the world opens up for you. It's in those moments where we second guess ourselves, when we doubt ourselves, when we try to convince others that we didn't have bad intentions or that we are good people or whatever it may be. That's when we really have all of those struggles. And we don't need to have them. See who you are as an incredible gift. You have absolutely everything you need to live a radically authentic and fulfilled life as an INFJ. So take it on. You got what it takes. Remember, if you want some more guidelines in how to get that process started, then check out the free poster on the INFJ Epic Life Formula. And if you say, okay, I really want to take the steps now, like I'm ready to make some changes in my life and start that process and, accelerate everything that I've been doing so far, then get the INFJ Epic Life audio guide today. We have a lot of material in there. So it's not just the audio guide. You have assignments and worksheets and, it really helps you to get to the next level as an INFJ. Everything you need to know you can find in the links in the description. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video, The 5 Reasons Why the INFJ is Ridiculously Underestimated.